Hello, welcome back to Feral Art Shop Studio where we are painting raspberries. It's deceiving. It looks like hams, I understand, but trust me, they're going to be raspberries, okay? Those are just basic shapes. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, let's go for gold. I'm going to basically roughen the colors of these raspberries. So I am using quinacridone magenta and cadmium red for a very poppy red color. And when I say poppy, I do mean the flower. Yeah, look at that color. Beautiful color. Absolutely astounding. I am honestly just remembering my favorite artist, the Art Sherpa, every time I mix these colors, because those were her favorite mixtures. That's what I recall. So, if she's on YouTube, so if you don't know about her, I highly encourage you to check her out. She actually teaches you how to paint, and that's why I'm the way I am. I wouldn't say I'm good. I'm getting there, but yeah, she is the OG. So yeah, just painting these in. I'm leaving the middle black because it's more in shadow. We're gonna paint it red, but we're just gonna keep it black for now. And yeah, we're just getting the color in at this point. You know, obviously raspberries are made up of little tiny juicy berries, like just little juicy pops of love. And we're gonna paint that. We're gonna try to paint those textures in. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna be long. I am really gonna try to paint this as realistic as possible. So we'll see how it goes, but hang in there with me. Just getting that red color in. Get that red color in, nice and red. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I hope you all had a lovely Valentine's Day. Whether you're with someone or not, it can still be a good day. And if you are single, I hope you had a good Friday the 13th. I thought that was fun. Having Friday the 13th before Valentine's Day this year just felt appropriate. Alright, so we're gonna let that dry. Okie dokie, I drew in circles for it to look more berry-like and not so ham-like. Oh, excuse me, I just coughed into the mic. That's awful. Yeah, so, these berries are more dark. These are more light. So we're gonna go into that. Please excuse my dog. He is coughing. He is not okay, as he is 17 years old. He's an old man, so give him some grace, will ya? So I'm gonna do a crazy thing. I'm gonna add red, quinacridone magenta, and a little bit of burnt umber together to get like a darker, richer red. And we're just gonna paint in these berries. Paint them in. Berries. So yeah, I've been painting since April 2018. I'm an accountant, so I did the math. I broke down how many hours I've been painting, and it's approximately 5,000 hours. Shouldn't have done that. It's approximately 5,000 hours. And I don't know if you know this, but they say it takes about 10,000 hours to become a master. So I'm about halfway there. Halfway to becoming a master. And I can't wait. Probably is going to take me another 8 years, you know. But I welcome the challenge. I welcome it. So yeah, just continuing to paint in these berries. Paint in these cute little raspberries. So yeah. Okay. So we got those a little bit more in shadow. So now that we've done that, we are now going to use our red and magenta mix, but we're going to throw some white in there. Not too much, but just a little bit to brighten this thing up. Brighten it up. So we're going to go into here. Yeah, look at that. Just brighten this raspberry up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so these white lines you see here is just chalk. So once this dries, I'm going to erase the chalk lines, and then the color that I had underneath will provide the shadows for the little juicy berry bits. Little juicy berry bits. Alrighty, got one more raspberry. One more raspberry. Perfect. Alrighty. So I'm gonna let that dry and we will be back. Okay, we removed the chalk lines. We are now going to paint in these shadows even more. We're gonna use a detail brush. We're just gonna go for gold. I am using this mix I have been using, cadmium red, magenta, a little bit of white, and burnt umber. It gives me a really nice dark deep red that we want in our shadow. We want our shadow to feel dark but still red, right? Okay. Just getting that in. Might even go darker. Might even throw some black in. Yeah, I threw some black in. Oh. Some white got in there. We'll see how that goes. Not too shabby. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents, as per Bob Ross. So we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna go with this color. honestly, I should pull out my alizarin red. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. It's time for alizarin red. So I got this little drawer of paints here. I'm gonna pull this guy out. Alizarin red. It's just a really nice, deep, rich red color. Basically the color I'm going for anyway. It's just in a tube already, so that's convenient. Oh god, please excuse me. That was not cool. Yeah, just painting in those shadows. Painting in those shadows. Painting in the shadows. Look at that deep, rich red color. I mean, that is just a great color. Trying to identify all of these raspberry parts. This is where we aren't building per se, but we're kind of building in a sense. Just structuring this raspberry together. We're gonna add some on the corner there. Really appreciate your time and attention. I know you could be doing a plethora of other things, so really appreciate it. Also, I highly recommend watching this on like 2 times speed. That way you can still like capture everything, but not all your time is wasted. Just your thought. Thought rude. I'm sorry, just thought. So yeah, in this raspberry chicken, just making it feel like raspberry. Getting those basic shapes and structures in, making it feel juicy and alive. You want your raspberry to feel juicy and alive. Short. We're gonna dress them out here probably soon. Just want to dress these little juicy bits first. Juicy bits. Mm-hmm. You just have to just because I'm individually wrapping all these little juicy bits. And I'm taking a little bit of a minute to see how this. See how this color here. Just curious, do you have a favorite color? What is your favorite color? You know, I said my favorite color is orange. Just be ages. What's your favorite color? Let me know in the comments. Please. Or just like you don't have a favorite color. That would be cool to actually why. That would be interesting to me. Since I'm 54% is something I would like to know. So currently I'm using my favorite color to let my go here. I have also I can easily wipe off actually with my brush. That's not just me using water. It is in oil. Go in it. The is in oil. It is a structure justice. I'm using. So this color in, Liz in. This Liz in color in. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Usually stupid. That's what it is. Alright, so we got the raspberry shadow in, and we're gonna let that dry. Okay, so we are going to paint in more chateaus in these two berries up here. I'm gonna pull out my detail brush. We're gonna get that alizarin crimson. I've been calling it red, but it is called alizarin crimson. And we're just gonna get those shadows in there. Where do those shadows go? So I took a photography class in high school, and I was god awful at it. I can't do photography. But my photography teacher was adorable, and she was all about happy, happy, joy, joy, and um, that's just always kind of stuck with me. Happy, happy, joy, joy, and then when I became an adult, I started seeking more art in my life and wanted to learn how to paint. So I found the art Sherpa on YouTube, and she was basically in line with the happy, happy, joy, joy motif, and it really drew me to her. So, I'm gonna talk about the art Sherpa a lot, and I apologize, but she's like my hero, basically. She is the bee's knees. So again, go check her out if you haven't already. Her content is wildly better than mine. That's for sure. Alrighty. Then we're gonna go up here to the top. We're just gonna redo the shadows. I feel like they need to be redone. Do that. you're interested in purchasing any of my art, let me know. I would love to send you some art. Very reasonable prices, as I am still intermediate artist. But yeah, if you see something you like, let me know. I only have a storage shed full of paintings that I need to get rid of, so you're helping me out, I promise. Alrighty, just getting those shadows, and we got those in. So I'm gonna make these little berries down here more in shadow, because they are in the shadow of this raspberry above it. So we're just gonna paint that in a bit darker. Make it seem like it is underneath this literal raspberry right here. Really, with painting, you're just deceiving people with your work. Like you're using art to convey something that's not actually there. Right, so we got that little shadow in there. I just broke it. That makes me very sad. Don't worry, I have tape. So now we're gonna talk about the middle of these raspberries. We're finally going to address them. We're gonna look at these guys and ask, what are you really? No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you know, it's got a pattern. So you gotta follow this little raspberry pattern. And try to keep some spaces black and others not so much. So, okay, so working that in, working in that alizarin crimson. Look at this poor brush. Makes me so sad. It's still working though. You know, maybe broken, but still working. That's funny. Beautiful. Okay. You get a little bit of a pattern going. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Getting that paint in. Alrighty. Got that in. I'm gonna retire this brush. It's done. And we're gonna let that dry. Okay, we are going to make these more red and more juicy. Juicy and red. But first we're just gonna make them more juicy. I got a new detail brush. Got a new one. And we're just gonna do our Nacridone magenta and red mix. Nacridone magenta and red mix. Using a number, couldn't tell you brush. Yeah. Getting that good base color back in of the raspberry. Not totally taking out the color we had before, but a little bit. Just making that raspberry pop. So, you may be wondering, why acrylic? You know, why not oil? Why not watercolor? And I've tried oil. I painted a wolf, and oil color, in the oil medium, if you will. Tried watercolor. I have absolutely nothing against them. They're totally fine. I just find acrylic to be my favorite. So that's the one I went with. I like that you paint in layers. I like that you have to let it dry before you move on to the next. You know, it's satisfying to me. That's my take. Do you like acrylic? Acrylic is just plastic, so acrylic loves to stick to acrylic, which is why layering works so well. Um, pretty handy stuff. Um, and I will say as a safety thing, please don't eat your paint. Just don't do it. Okay. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Mid-video PSA. So, yeah, I'm just getting this in. Getting this in. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna let that dry and then we're gonna put some highlights in. So now we're gonna shade these raspberries. We're gonna shade them in a little bit because they're not this uniform color quite. They are, you know, in shadow and need to have a bit of a story. So we're gonna give it a bit of a story. Like I said, we are attempting to make this more realistic. So we'll see how that goes. So making it a little bit more gradient. Excellent. And then we're gonna come down here, make these more in shadow. And we're just gonna grab some alizarin and we're just really gonna make this more. Make it more gradient. We're gonna do the same to this big guy right here, this big feller. Big guy in the middle. So yeah, see how we're doing that? See how we're making it not so uniform and a little bit more in shadow, a little bit more juicy. That's what we want. We want juicy raspberries. So I'm curious, what is your favorite artist? It doesn't have to be a painter, but I'm curious to know who your favorite artist is, specifically if it's a painter, but if not, just let me know. You know, like I said before, my favorite artist painter is the Art Sherpa. I'm her ride or die. So yeah, making these more gradient. We're gonna talk about this guy down here, make that guy much more dark. Just thinking about the gradients of light and how it bounces off objects. Really what we're talking about here is how light bounces off objects. Which is science. And science is cool. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. Okay, so we're gonna make this even more gradient. Put in more shadow, put in more light, make it feel real. Make you feel like this is a real raspberry. Like you could just pull this out of your screen. How crazy would that be? I think Willy Wonka was onto something when he thought of that. That's just me, though. Beautiful. So we're just, again, working in those shadows, working in that light. Make things appear as they are. So cool. So cool. I love painting. I love painting so much. Painting is my jam. It is my jam. Bam. Bam. Excellent. Excellent. Cover up those white canvas marks. You don't need that. Cover that up. You need more love down here. Certainly need more love down here. So I am gonna paint this a bit more red. Just a little bit. It's gonna be great. And then we have this pattern set up in our little raspberry hole right here. So I'm gonna highlight it a little bit more so you can see it. You can see what we're doing in here. See, it's starting to come to life. You can see it starting to come to life. We're gonna come up here and do a similar thing. Beautiful. Nacridone red and magenta. I just love this color combo. I mean, it is just such a rich, beautiful, bright red color. Right? And that's what we're going for. It's what we want. Okay, we're going to let that dry and come back. Okay, so now we are going to put the highlights in. You're going to put the highlights in. Let me put this in real quick. Now I'm going to go back into my, you guessed it, quinacridone, magenta, and red mix. But I also threw some white into there. So it's going to be a bit brighter. And we're going to talk about these highlights. Just these little berry highlights. Talk about the enlightened portion of the berry. And you're like, how can berries be enlightened? They're not contents. You're right. You're right. Mess that up. Need to be on this side. Look at that berry. Look at that berry. Literally coming to life. Literally. So cute. So juicy. Okay, let's move on to this guy. Let's highlight in. Highlight. Don't forget to highlight your berry. Yeah, basically when I say highlight, that's exactly what I mean. I'm just brightening up the space. I am making it seem as though the light is bouncing off of the berry in particular places. So we're highlighting that space. So pretty neat. Pretty neat how you can do this. Gotta go back into this guy. Quadacridone, magenta, and red. And just highlight the lip here, where you can start to see the inside of the raspberry, but not quite. So it's in shadow. In shadow. And you know what? We're gonna make this a bit more gradient, so it's not just like a harsh line into the shadow and the abyss. They're putting third color in here, just more red. There we go, that looks better. Yeah. Got some alizarin crimson. I'm gonna make this berry more in shadow. I feel like this berry is kind of hiding more in shadow. So there's that guy. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let that dry and we will be back. Okay, so we're gonna talk about these highlights. We're just gonna keep talking about these highlights. So we're gonna use our mix and we're gonna throw even more white into it and make it even brighter. We'll talk about this particular berry. Talk about this guy. Talk about his story, their story. Yeah. Just really brightening this guy up, making it feel more juicy. That's beautiful. We're gonna throw a highlight or two in here, make it pop a little, make it pop a little. Okay. We're gonna talk about this berry down here. Everything it's doing for us. Let's talk about how this berry is helping this picture. It's the most prominent berry. It's basically center stage. We want to talk about it. This potato chip clip in my way. Okay, now we're gonna highlight these berries a little bit. A little highlight. Ooh, yeah. Okay, let's let that dry and we will be right back. Okay, we're gonna talk about the berry. This berry right here. We're gonna talk about that berry. We're gonna see what this berry is up to. So we're gonna get our famous mix. We're just gonna brighten up these berry bits a little bit. Brighten them up, make them feel more berry-like. Much more berry-like. Excellent, excellent. Okay, now we're gonna talk about that highlight. What about the highlighted portions? This is a little highlighted. This is a little highlighted. This guy's a little highlighted. Just talk about what this berry is doing. What is this berry doing? Being very sweet and juicy berry. So yeah, I got some highlight in there. Got some highlight. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. So it is a bit in shadow, but there are some highlights in here. A little bit of highlighting. Brighten them up a little bit. Look how juicy that looks. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. I'm gonna look at my reference and we'll come back. Okay, we're gonna keep on keeping on, keep on keeping on. We're gonna build this raspberry, and I have lost my brush, so that's exciting. Let's use this guy. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the highlights on this berry. Let's talk about this berry. About this guy. So bring it into the light a little bit, so I can see. That's beautiful. Very interesting. Okay, excellent. And then we're going to talk about this guy down here. And their highlights. What's going on over here? Maybe a little bit right there. Excellent. Alright, so now we're going to brighten up the highlights even more. So we're going to add more white. Add more white. We're going to get our glazing liquid in there to help out. And we're going to talk about these highlights. We're just going to keep brightening them up. Keep talking about them. I want this berry to seem like it's shiny and juicy. It's the whole goal here. So we're not painting out everything we did before. We're just adding to it. Making these highlights on this berry seem more interesting. We're getting into it. Gonna get into it some more. Let me know if you even like raspberries in the comments. And if you don't, what's your favorite berry? I'm not the biggest fan of raspberries, I'll admit it. But I'm not gonna not eat it. That's for sure. I'm not a picky eater. It's okay if you are. Nothing wrong with that. Again, just getting these highlights in. Making it feel brighter and juicier. Ooh, yeah. I'm really starting to dig this. I think it's gonna turn out pretty neat. Pretty neat. Alright, excellent. So we got that extra layer of highlight in there. We're gonna let that dry. We're gonna let that think about its decisions and come back. We're gonna talk about these highlights even more. Even more. And you're like, Liz, haven't we discussed highlights enough? I feel like we've been talking about it for ages. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we need more highlight. I think it needs to seem lighter and juicier. So you can fight me about it, actually. These are my raspberries, and they're going to be juicy and bright. Juicy and bright. So yeah, again, we're not taking out what we put in before. We are just adding to it. Just brightening it up. So this is still a pink color, but it looks pretty white. So that's what we're going for. It's exactly what we're going for. Looking to keep brightening these colors up until it looks like it's white. So that's what we're gonna do. So like the whole thing of the thing is we're just brightening and darkening spaces. Brightening and darkening spaces. So we're making this appear the way we want it to. The way it is intended to look. Huh. Look at that. Okay, so I feel like we brightened it quite a bit, so we're gonna go back and darken a few places. I feel like this raspberry needs to be darkened in a few places. Needs some love. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes you need love to thrive. We're gonna darken this area up a little bit. Just darken that area up. Darken up that area. Okay, excellent. We darkened the places we wanted to. We lightened the places we wanted to. Now we're gonna let that dry. Okay. We talked about highlights. We talked about darkness. We are now going to talk about our background. Actually, first I still need to talk about the highlight. Just a little bit. Hang in there. Bear with me. I forgot about this guy. They need some highlight. Some highlight. So that's what we're doing. Giving it some highlight. That berry as well. Okay, perfect. So we're going to pull out our handy dandy bright. This is a bright, about an inch bright. We're going to talk about this background here. We're going to make it a little gray brown. Little gray brown. A little streaky. Okay, so let's get rid of that chip for a second. We're just going to make this seem like it's a table. Make it all streaky. I want it to feel like it is laying on a table. That's what we're gonna do. So yeah, I've always wanted to be an artist, but I was afraid, and I finally bit the bullet and decided to give it a shot. And can't say I was really good at it at first. I was probably really awful at it at first, but I kept doing it, and that's the difference. It just takes practice. It really does. Some people are naturally talented, and some people, like me, just practice. Okay, so we're going to talk about the shadow underneath the berries. We want it to seem real, so we're going to put in our berry shadow. So if the light's coming this way, the shadow is going to come this way. So we're going to talk about the shadow here. Shadow of this berry. These here berries. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Otherwise, it looks like our berries are just floating, and according to the laws of physics, that's not necessarily possible. So, although if you're an alien, you have seemed to figure it out. So let us know. Anyway, gotta make sure there's shadows in your painting. Otherwise, it looks like things are floating. Okay, I'm taking a step back to take a look at how it is. Gonna throw a little bit more shadow under this guy. A little bit more shadow. Okay. That's the basis of our shadow. We're not done. Let's let that dry and we'll be right back. We are going to talk about the shadow under the raspberry. So we got the basis of that shadow in. We're gonna go back in with just black and pronounce the shadow. We're gonna pronounce it. Excellent. So putting in those structures, trying to identify our berries. I'm gonna identify our berries. And this will make it seem more realistic. At least that is my hope. My hope. Ugh, I have a tendency to mumble, so I apologize if I'm mumbling. Do that. Mumbler. Yeah. So, alrighty. So we're talking about these shadows. We're getting shadows in. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, guys. We painted our strawberries. We talked about the brightness and the darkness. We talked about shadow. And I think it's time to sign it. I do. I think it's time to sign. I'm just trying to find a good signy pencil brush. Here we go. Need a detail brush. Got a decent detail brush. I would highly recommend using colors that is already in your painting. So don't use a random color that you're not using in your painting. And the reason why I say that is because it will draw the attention away from your art and just to your signature. So like if I put green right here, your eye would naturally go to that bottom corner. It would be like, oh, green. All right. Well, if you made it this long, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Here's the art. We got 6 raspberries. Really appreciate your time and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.